So, uh, this book, like the page for it on Facebook harassed me forever. So I got the book. It was a Kindle book, and I have Amazon Prime, so I get to have like some free Kindle books every now and again. So I finally bought the book, and it wasn't even worth it. Like the selection in my opinion, is such a dumb book. Like, ugh, okay. So it's by Kara Cross, and the selection is a good thing for 35 girls, but our main character does not want to be part of the selection because she's got a secret boyfriend. But this could be a good thing. The genre isn't love, it's YA dystopian, and I'm realizing that YA, like, there's some YA that I do like, but YA for me is very hit or miss, as it would appear. I don't know why, it just is. So, at least the book was free, because if I had paid for it, I would have been much angrier, but I didn't have to pay for it, so at least there's that. Um, the girl's name is America Singer, and I'm gonna come back to that when I get to the part where I explain what I liked and didn't like about the book. Um, her family is very poor. Like, actually, they're not just like poor, they po. They're like, they can't even afford the O and the R. They are dirt poor. There's a ranking for a family. Hers is a 5. Fours and under, um, fours and under are on their own to support themselves. Ones are royalty, twos and threes are elites, and eights are usually illegitimate children. The selection is how the prince chooses a princess, I guess. 35 girls are chosen, and his name is Maxon because he's probably an edgelord. I didn't actually finish reading the book. She doesn't want to do the selection because she's got this boyfriend named Aspen, but he convinces her to do it because it could be good for her family. He is also poor. His family is a 6, so they're like the serving class. And Aspen gets pissy when they break up because America is chosen to do the thing, obviously, because she's the main character. And the rules of it get explained, and the 35 girls have to literally do whatever he wants for the prince. Have to do whatever the prince wants, and they can't complain about it, and that's like, ugh. Um, several girls from all the ranks, except for I think one, because there is no girl in one. If there's a girl in one, then Maxim would already have a girlfriend. Several of the girls like have trials and things like that, and some traitorous things happen, and it was boring. Um, I'm not reading the whole book. I'm not interested in the journey at all. America is called America because I assume she's a metaphor for the change in the system that she eventually causes, because by the time we get to the last book, her daughter is having a selection, even though there's never been a selection for a girl before, I'm pretty sure. At least I think that's what the description basically says. I don't know. So annoying. It feels like the author read Hunger Games and watched The Bachelor, and I don't really have very much to say about this book. Like, do the ranks have to do with attractiveness? Like, the only one of those that really makes sense is the illegitimate class one and the royalty one. Do the ranks have to do with attractiveness, or do they have to do with money? Because it seems like everybody ranks 4 and under, except for 8, are the same amount have the same amount of money. And if it's decided by I don't know. The author does world building through classes, which doesn't really make any sense because there's no reason why all of the girls shouldn't already know all of this stuff. I don't know, unless class denotes a certain level of intelligence and awareness about the world, which she doesn't say that it does, so I have no idea. In comparison to the other books, though, like, yeah, I finished all of the ones underneath this, but like, the other ones weren't. This book wasn't infuriating, it just made me tired. So the selection goes above Obsidian. Ugh. So the next book is called Shelter of the Most High, and it is by Conlon Cosette. It is the second book in the Cities of Refuge series. Eton is now grown, and he's still living in the City of Refuge from his childhood. He is falling in love with the daughter of a pagan priest. So if she's pagan, this book is probably about converting her. And if that's what you guessed, you were correct. Although, like, it wasn't all terrible, like, conversion stuff. Some of it, I guess, was fair points. But, I mean, I don't know. Sophia and her cousin Prezi are out on the water. Sophia has the brine in her blood, apparently. She loves to swim or something like that. And they are found by some guys. Their village got destroyed, but the two of them get to live. They're pagan, by the way, Sophia and Prezi. They're the pagans. The guy who kidnapped them because he was sold from the village, and he wanted to go back and destroy the village because, you know, he's bitter and angry because that's how these things work. And a week later, they have to leave the ship because the guy wasn't going to let them get hurt. They went back to a ship. This is very messy. The guy took them back to their ship, and he told them, like, his whole backstory, even though they didn't really care. Prezi is, like, losing her mind, and Sophia is trying to justify to herself the fact that if they hadn't stayed in the water as long as they did, then they would be dead too. So, yeah. They end up jumping off of the ship because, you know, safety and such, and they end up on a beach, and Prezi's pretty injured, and some guys speaking a different language find them, and, like, at first they're scared, but the guys are kind, and they're gonna, like, take them back to where they live so that they can, like, help them and save them and stuff like that. And as it turned out, that those guys are Moria's husband and his, like, crew of people. Derek, that's his name. Moria's husband. Now it's time to see my baby boy Eton. He's working at the foundry, and he and Derek really aren't the best of friends right now. Eton kind of hates him because Derek wouldn't let him go fight when he turned 15, and Derek says that it's because, like, Eton and his mom can't leave the city because of that whole thing that happened with his nephews and shit like that. And Eton's like, "You're not my dad." And Derek's like, "Yeah, maybe I'm not your dad, but I am commander of the military, so you have to do what I say, and I'm not going to let you join." Eton is growing his hair out, so he's taking a Nazarite oath. No hair cutting, no wine, stuff like that. Sophia and Prezi think that they're the slaves of Derek and his family now, because they can't speak the language. Prezi's kind of broken. Eton and his friend Nadar are gonna fight over Sophia because boys. Some political Hoosier what's-its in the background because Derek is a soldier and they're, like, fighting a war, and it's Christian times, so, you know. A woman is able to, like, Sophia sees a woman who's able to help translate for them, and no one is making an attempt to learn the language yet, but Sophia doesn't want to stay and doesn't want their attention, so they go to a festival, and, like, the woman can't take Prezi and Sophia, and she encourages her to make a new life in Kadesh, even though Sophia really doesn't want to. 4 months go by, and Prezi and Sophia learn their language, but no one's making an attempt to learn Sophia and Prezi's language. Whatever. Sophia gets to learn what Eton's interests are and stuff like that. Moria sees Raviv in the city, maybe, possibly. Sophia finds out that the city of Kadesh is for manslayers and flips out, and Prezi explains it, and she's on the Yahweh train. Sophia tries to apply her benefits and goes to speak of her father, but her dad was a shitbag. There's a shepherd watching Eton, and Eton tells Sophia his thing. Sophia still kisses him, so yeah. Not really sure what the conflict is yet. Sophia jumps on the Yahweh train as well and agrees to marry Eton, and Derek implies that he blames Eton for what happened, and, like, Derek is kind of salty about having to lose his family, and it's like, but dude, no one forced you to stay in that city with them, nor did anybody force you to marry Moria. You're the one who fell in love with her, dude. But whatever, I guess. Someone that gets attacked, one of their like servants or something like that, or someone who lives with them in the inn, and now they know that Raviv is involved. Sophia also gets kidnapped, and so does Prezi. And Nadar, because he's jealous or some shit like that, he wants Sophia to kill the high priest, and they're gonna blame it on Etan. I think that's what happens. Everybody gets caught and everything is explained to the high priest, and Nadar just wanted Sophia, and this is how he thought he would get Sophia to be his. There is another person that Nadar was with. The reason Nadar was in the city is because there was a girl that he wanted who was married to his brother. So no, not his brother. He was just married. She was just married to someone else. So Nadar murdered her husband and thought that murdering people that your love interest likes is not a good way to get them to be with you. Logic. The lady, after her husband was murdered and Nadar got sent to Kadesh, she married someone else. So Nadar gets taken away. We visit Oria and Moria's father for a second, and like the wedding is gonna happen, and Etan goes to get Prezi alone, and Raviv has a new family, because Prezi is with Raviv, that's who she got kidnapped by. Nadar was working with Raviv. His new family knows nothing about his last family, he's only got daughters. That's fun. On some level, I guess I kind of feel for Raviv, but like, dude, this is a lot. He has a new family, didn't tell him about his old family, and just let it go, man. Like, I get it. Your family was murdered and you miss your sons, but at the same time, like, Etan was like 4 and your sons were shitbags. I'm not advocating the murder of children. I'm just saying that if you bully somebody and then your victim beats your ass, you kind of deserved it. I'm not advocating for the murder of children. That's not what I'm saying. Just, you can't be a shithead and expect people to just lie down and take it all the time. Because one day, something will happen to you. Not as extreme as murder in most cases, but one day, something will happen to you. Derek gets Raviv to spare them both, as killing Etan or Prezi would mean imprisonment for him. Etan calls Derek dad. Mori calls Sophia her daughter. Etan can now fight in the war without fear of Raviv, and they still hope that Raviv's heart will soften. Yeah. This one, despite it being about converting someone, doesn't read as Christian propaganda either, which is good. Because even rational Christians should hate Christian propaganda. Anybody who is anything at all should hate propaganda, even though that's the nature of propaganda, it's how it's supposed to work, but still, you shouldn't like propaganda. I do find it slightly problematic that it's Yahweh that brings Prezi out of her shell. Like, I get that their religion was kind of terrible, but somehow I imagine that converting people is not this easy. I don't know. For the sake of a 200 not 200, I think like a 300-page book, though, I guess it makes sense. It never feels like Yahweh is calling to them or anything like that. It feels more like our pagan gods are cruel, Yahweh is not. So, conversion. All of the old characters being present is pretty cool. I still love Moria. She's my baby girl. The whole thing with Derek and Etan gives me life because, like, they're fighting, and, like, at the end, Etan calls Derek Abba, which means dad, and it's so cute. I wasn't really paying enough attention in the last book. I thought Etan was, like, 5, not 9. Apparently, he's 19 in this book or something like that. Okay. It's still competently written. The main conflict takes a while to be introduced, but it was fine. I like that they still have hope for Raviv. Like, I still hate him, but it shows Derek and Moria's character, because that's the type of thing that Moria would hope for. 11 years is a long time to hold a grudge, though. And I I also think that for this book, it says a lot that my points don't revolve around religion. I think that's nice. And I think even if you are not a Christian, you can enjoy this book. Shelter of the Most High goes above Shadow on the Wing. That being said, I'm not going to read the next ones because I don't know, something about these books, it just feels tiring. And I read the description for the next one and I don't really care. So, not reading the next ones.